What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays. From All Sports All Plays. This is the Thursday full count. I am here with the regular crew here, Ray Cruz and Greg Hot Seat Galliano. How are the both of you doing?
I'm doing great, Nate. How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get this thing rocking and rolling. But before we do that, we do have some housekeeping stuff that we got to take care of. So I guess we'll go into we'll talk about that a little bit later, Brendan. Here, the extra running in the extra inning is just crap. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But before that, we got some ads, and Suzanne Paparazzi's Jewelry is the first one.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
And now, Misty Meadows. Okay. I just want to remind everybody, if you want to win a free t-shirt, just do what Brandon Herrera has been doing. He gave a couple of comments. The extra running, like I mentioned earlier, in the Colorado Rockies again. We'll talk about that later. But just do like what he's doing. Like the show, comment the show, be engaged in this show. At the end of the month, we will tally all of the comments. We will tally up all the comments, and the person who gets the most comments wins. And I just wanted to say, though, although this is a new month, it is April Fool's, and it's not an April Fool's prank. So April 1st, since this is April 1st, it's a fresh start, clean start to this. But say for a second, you are listening. You're driving. You're watching this, so you can't comment, whatever it is. And you want a t-shirt, but you didn't get the beer of the month. Well, that's no big deal. It's $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Sizes go from small to 2XL. And if you wear like a 3XL, whatnot, it's $1 or $2 extra. So going right in, give a little bit of a live update here. Kansas City Royals, only game so far. The only game that's going on right now at the moment. There's 2 outs on the board. Kansas City's up 13-9 over the Texas Rangers. So I'm going to go to Ray on this one first. What are your thoughts in general about the Texas Rangers or the Kansas City Royals? What are your thoughts on this game as a whole?
I mean, you got to understand this is opening day. So, I mean,
Yeah.
baseball is going to be, it's projected, sometimes it turns out to be a high-scoring game. Sometimes it's a low-scoring game. Sometimes people are not hitting on all cylinders. This game came out hitting on all cylinders. I mean, you got two teams that are playing towards the end of their division, going at each other. I mean, it's 9-13, Kansas City over the Texas Rangers. Rangers came out with 5 in the first, and then Kansas City retaliate with 5 in the first. So, I mean, they've been going back and forth here in the last few innings here. And Texas has been scoreless in the last 2 innings, 7th and 8th inning, with no scores. And Kansas City came up with 3 runs in the 7th inning. So, I mean, you got to look at it. It's opening day. I mean, pitchers not going to be in their best, stuff. So, this game turned out to be a high-scoring baseball game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. But we'll go give this to Greg.
Well, I just saw Holland come in and make quick work of the Rangers order here in the 8th inning. Yeah, like Ray's saying, it's opening day. We've seen some pretty high-scoring games. We've seen some pretty low-scoring games. It's exciting to see baseball going on right now. And I think that with the Royals, I mean, we've talked about it before about how we think that the Royals are going to be kind of one of those teams that's going to surprise some people. I think they're going to win a few more games than a lot of people are giving them credit for right now. I don't know exactly if they're going to rise to the top of that division. I think that Minnesota and, the White Sox are very tough to beat. But I think that the Royals are going to be one of those teams that's going to be able to score some runs. They got plenty of talent. They got some Bobby Witt coming up. Whit Merrifield, of course, is a big stud out there. They have some decent pitching, not great pitching, but I'm kind of impressed that the Rangers too have put up 9 runs already. I wasn't really expecting a high-scoring game for this game. I was expecting, for opening day, maybe like a 5-4 ball game or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting that they've got 20 runs between them right now, heading into the 9th inning here pretty soon.
Oh yeah. It's been crazy. You have guys that it's a completely different ball team compared to what it was a few years ago. Just even that alone. I mean, you don't have Ruffin Odor. He's still on the team, but he's not starting. He's not starting anymore. I mean, you have.
I thought they were going to release him pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon, but that's not now.
Yeah, I didn't. I heard that he wasn't even going to make the team this year.
Yeah, so I will have to say though, this game is pretty high. Even though this game will probably end up in a loss. Ooh, as soon as I just say that it's probably going to end up in a loss, Kansas City just scored a home run to make it 14-9. Certainly won't make it until probably be a loss. I really like this game because Rangers came up and fired at all cylinders. But enough Rangers and Royals talk. We're going to go backwards here. And we're going to be talking about Padres versus Diamondbacks. So I guess my first question about this game is, with that strong pitching staff that they have, adding in a Yu Darvish, adding in Blake Snell. Yu Darvish actually pitched this game. Did you expect the Padres to give up 7 runs? We're going to go with Greg on this one first.
I definitely didn't think that they would give up 7 runs. I mean, you're talking about Yu Darvish last season. It was a short season, but I mean, he was pitching pretty lights out baseball. I thought that would kind of carry over into opening day. He was a Cy Young candidate last year in a short season, and it looked like he had excellent stuff. I mean, the guy has probably more pitches than any pitcher in this league. I think he's got like about 6 pitches that he can throw and have great command over. So, with this Arizona lineup, I wasn't expecting, with Yu Darvish out there, I wasn't expecting more than 3 or 4 runs. So, the Diamondbacks came to play today. It seems like a lot of teams are just on fire right now. So, look at your Rockies.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later. Ray, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, like I said, it's opening day. I mean, first game, you're not going to tell what the team is going to be like. I mean, everybody's going to have the open jitters, and I think that's happened to this game right here, open day jitters. The best pitcher is not going to have the best stuff right off the bat. They're going to have to work their rotation to get it in there. And that's another, of this game. I mean, you got to look at it. Tatis had 5 at bats. He had, 1 hit, 1 run. He batted 200, batting average of 200 in this ball game. I mean, like, you're not going to come off the bat and be really at your top notch. You got to work your way and get into that season flow. So, I mean, as the season progresses, you're going to probably see some of these high scoring numbers go down a little bit for the Padres. I mean, the Padres got a good pitching staff. And like I said, you know, he didn't have as good stuff as today. And most pitchers are not going to have the good stuff today. I mean, you know, you look at something like the Braves game. Win was involved in that game. You know, you got the elements involved in certain areas and stuff like that. And so, I mean, like opening day is just opening day. I mean, you're gonna have sluggish baseball. You're gonna have high scoring baseball. And this is just another example here of a good team. They did come out with the victory at the end. I mean, 8-7 is a high scoring game. You know, you didn't think the Diamondbacks will go compete with with San Diego's lineup and power hitting lineup. And so, I mean, you know, Diamondbacks put a good showing.
I also wasn't expecting Bumgarner to give up 6 runs either, though. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I know that Bumgarner is not the same pitcher as he was here 4 or 5 years ago, but I mean, I wasn't expecting him to get shelled like that either. So,
yeah, no, we'll have to look at this. Looking at this game here, I know I know it's just opening day, but we'll do a little bit of a prediction thing here. Looking at this first game, where do you see the Arizona Diamondbacks landing? Like, what record do you think? We'll go with Ray on this one.
I mean, I see them probably below 500. I mean, you know, I can't really tell this first game of this baseball season. I have to look. You know, you gotta give me playing examples. You gotta give me things. So, like the first month, I like to look at it, and you know, I like to glance at what they're going to be doing here the first month, how they come out of the first month. Then I start comparing them down. What they give me a full month example. You know, sample what they can do, what they can hang, who they can hang with. So, I mean, right now, I'm looking at probably being under 500.
Yeah, I would probably say it's around the same thing. We'll go, before I make my point on this. Greg, what do you have? What's your record? Do you think they're going to land at?
You know, for the Diamondbacks, I think they're probably going to, like Ray said, maybe be a little bit under 500. I think that they'll probably pick up, I don't know, 77, 78 wins is probably where I'd probably put them at. You know, I think that they'll be just a shade under 500 ball. But, I mean, you know, they're putting some pieces together. You know, they don't have terrible pitching. It's just that Bumgarner, you know, he's not the same pitcher of old. You know, he does have some moments of greatness, but yeah, I just don't really see them doing a whole lot. I mean, it's pretty much right now, I think the Dodgers and the Padres division over there. So I don't really see them. I think they're going to be probably in 4th place, probably in their division, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Them and the Giants probably duking it out. 4th.
Now, I know the second day of the season actually hasn't happened yet. But I honestly think that this game and the Rockies game, which we'll talk about a little bit later, are proof will be proof that it's just opening day. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters at this moment because there are 162 games left to play. But looking at last year, opening day last year, the Boston Red Sox went out on fire. I know it was against the Orioles, but they ended up losing that series against the Orioles 2-1. That first game, though, they gave up the final score of that game was like 13-2 favor of the Red Sox. So the point that I'm trying to make is it's just opening day. Although this was fun to watch, you can't really judge off of one game. And the same goes with any sport, especially including the NFL. but getting away from that. Going off into this next game, which I keep alluding to it, Colorado Rockies, they won their opening series 8-5. Ray, what are your thoughts on this game?
Hey, Colorado came out, did what they even had to do. I mean, they came out and, the first 2 innings were scoreless. Both teams didn't get no score. They started picking up the scoring 2-1 Colorado after 3. No runs in the fourth by both teams, and then another 2-1. And then in the fifth, they just kept putting pressure on. You got to understand, 2 innings by Gonzalez, 2 innings. He gave up 3 runs, two Ks for Colorado. He picked up the win though. Kershaw picked up the loss for the Dodgers. Kershaw didn't have his A game. He didn't have his game like he had last year in the playoffs. It's just, once again, I think it's just the opening. I think it's just the opening day jitters, for most teams, most starters. And these guys are going to pick it up at the end, coming up into the month, picking up their pace a little bit more. But, it's just a filling out process. The first 2 months is going to be a filling out process by teams and stuff like that. So, that's what we got to look at here. So, Colorado came out and did what they needed to do. They did. They came out and did what they needed to do to pick up this win. This could be a momentum booster for the Colorado Rockies. They could come out and play again against the Dodgers. Come out and take another win. But like it says, is this fool's goal? This could be fool's goal for Colorado, and the Dodgers could pick it up. We know how the Dodgers is going to play. They're going to pick it up at the right time. Teams are not peaking right now, so you got to tip a cat to Colorado. They did what they needed to do, and they picked up the victory.
Greg?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of interesting because usually when the Dodgers get more than 10 hits in a game, they're pretty much unstoppable. Tonight, they had 15 hits. They had 4 more hits than the Rockies overall for the game. So I think it says a lot about Colorado and, how much poise they had out there to put this game away because they just seemed to capitalize when the Dodgers didn't. So, the name of the game is to try to score runs and, they got some good stops and everything. And, the Dodgers were getting just as many hits and a few more when the game was settled. But, the Dodgers just weren't able to get across like the Rockies were. So, when you leave runners.
Okay.
We'll
find out the spot after the break. I just wanted to give another update and say that it's now top of the ninth. If Rangers don't do anything here, game is over and is final. But giving my thoughts, I'm just going to repeat exactly what I said about the Arizona Diamondbacks game. I know that this is just one game, but it's all fine because there are 162 games left to play. I'm very big on the playoffs, and one game in any sport doesn't really matter that much. Now, Greg, can you add on to what you were going to say? 'Cause
Well, what I was saying before I got cut off was that, it was all about the Rockies being able to capitalize, and the Dodgers didn't. The Dodgers did out-hit the Rockies by 4 hits, but they just weren't able to get all the runs across. They left some people on base and everything, and that's pretty much what decided the game was that the Dodgers just weren't able to get those runners in. They were getting a hit or two, each inning, but they just weren't able to get very many runs across. And so I think that it was pretty good that the Rockies were able to seal this game. It took a lot of pitching and everything to get through the game, but they made it happen, and I'm happy to see them get the first game. I thought that it was going to be a sweep. I have to eat a little bit of crow on this one. I thought that this was going to be an easy sweep for the Dodgers, but yeah, the Rockies showed some signs of life and, just played a little bit better baseball today.
I'll put it up, but Greg is not the only one that has to eat humble pie. I'll explain why later. So going on to this next game, the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Reds, Cincinnati Reds. Final score of this game was 11-6. Now the craziest, now the guy that scored the most for the Cardinals was Dylan Carlson. And now the Reds, on the other hand, well, the Cardinals actually came out and fired all cylinders pretty early, but nothing happens from the fifth period, from the fifth inning on. There is no score being involved. So I gotta ask you a question. Would you like it? Which would you rather have? A consistent scoring throughout the whole game, or firing at all cylinders early but then dying out? We'll go with Ray on this one first.
I mean, you got to look at it. St. Louis came out and scored 6 runs in the first. They scored 1 run in the second, no run in the third. They came back in the fourth and scored 4 more runs. That right there put the game away. I mean, Cincinnati, if you look at Cincinnati scoring, they scored 1 in the first. They scored nothing in the second. They scored 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the sixth, and that was the score. And then they went scoreless from the 7th on to the 9th. I mean, if you can get scored quickly and you score big and you can hold that score, I mean, it doesn't matter in baseball where you score at. The name of the game is you got to score your opponent. You got to play good defense and, keep the scoring down to where you need to be. I mean, most managers would like to say, yeah, we like consistent scoring in each inning. We like to score in each inning, But sometimes in baseball, you can't do that. You got to take what you can get when you get it and how you get it. And that's what St. Louis did today. I mean, they had 10 hits, 11 runs. They had no errors. Cincinnati had 7 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors in the game. I mean, if you look at it in this ball game, this game was over after the 4th inning.
Ray will go. Greg will go with you next on this.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the bright spots going on within the St. Louis Cardinals organization isn't just pretty much getting Nolan Arenado for free this season from from the Rockies. It's Jack Flaherty, starting pitcher. He's a young ace of the staff, very young, has some great breaking balls. He's got some good velocity. Having him definitely on the mound is going to help us quite a bit. I've read a little bit more on my Cardinals this season, and the consensus states that even with Nolan Arenado and Goldschmidt out there, the experts aren't really expecting the Cardinals to really put up a whole lot of runs this season. So I was ecstatic to see them put up 11 today and get plenty of runs for Jack Flaherty out there. But I really, they just came to play today. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be able to hold up, this kind of hitting all season long. I mean, like Ray said, it's opening day. A lot of teams are putting up huge runs, having huge days with the at-bats. Maybe pitchers are nervous, maybe hitters are nervous. But, yeah, it just seems like there's been kind of a lot of balls leaving the park, a lot of runs being produced. And, I think that Jack Flaherty is going to be a huge staple for the Cardinals moving on. I wish that the Cardinals had a little bit more pop in their lineup. I mean, I know that adding Arenado was a big boost. But, they don't have a lot of great outside of Goldschmidt and Arenado. They just don't have a ton of pop. They have some great defensive outfielders and everything, and they make some fantastic plays out there and diving catches and stuff. But I'm a little nervous overall for this season, even though we picked up a big 11-6 win over the Reds today, because I'm a little nervous to see how our run production is going to be outside of Arenado and Goldschmidt and maybe DeJong.
I mean, if you look at Carlson, he had 3 RBIs and O'Neill had 2. And if you look at the home runs in this game, O'Neill had 1 in the 4th and Carlson had 1 in the 1st. You know, so.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and this goes for any sport. Now let's explain why in a little bit. I'm a firm believer that the game is not over until it's over. Crazy things have happened in the past. Now I will say this: going back to a few years ago when Boston won the World Series. Earlier that year, the Yankees were up. I want to say the Yankees were up like 11. They put up like 10, 11 runs in the first inning alone. And that game, Boston ended up winning that game. Ended up winning that game 19-17. I don't think, I'd rather have that consistent scoring. And I know it can't happen all the time. I'd rather have that consistent scoring because I honestly don't. I don't want to be, because the other team can end up pulling up comebacks. Now you were shaking your head earlier, so what do you have to say on that?
Well, I look at it this way. You know, you got to look at baseball. Baseball is a momentum type game. You know, if you got your team is in contact and gotten it, but you got to understand too, you got certain players that, you know, certain pitchers match up good with certain players on the other team. So you're not going to have that consistency all the way through. So, I mean, if you get off a good start, which St. Louis did, I mean, they kept it going. You know, the pressure never really got up on them. I mean, they won by 4 runs and they didn't have to score no more after the fourth inning. So, I mean, you got to look at it like this. If you score big, you score, why. Now, when the game gets tight, that's when you got to pick your offense back up again. So, but baseball is a game of momentum. You know, momentum switches in game of baseball. You got 9 innings, and you're not going to be consistent all the way out through them 9 innings. There's no way. It's just you got professional baseball players out here who can shut. You know, you got pitchers who match up pretty good with certain teams, certain players, and then you got your pitching scout, and you got your scouting and stuff like that. So when you pick up your runs, you got to pick them up quick. You know, sometimes you got to pick them all up in 1 inning. I mean, I've seen one baseball game that a team scored 7 runs in the first inning, didn't score no more the rest of the game, and still won 7-5. But I mean, you know, I understand teams are trying to get consistent scoring all throughout the game, all throughout the innings. But baseball is a game of momentum, and sometimes momentum switches in the middle of the game of baseball. It's just how it is. Baseball is a weird sport. I mean, it's not going to be like your basketball where you can make consistently shots and stuff like that, and you got consistent defense. Baseball, you got pitchers who can throw 90 to 100 mile an hour fastballs. You got pitchers who throw, curveballs. You got players that can't hit curveballs. You got players that can hit fastballs. I mean, game of baseball is going to be a momentum swing. Whoever has that momentum at a certain point of the game is going to win the game. It's just baseball.
So going up to this next matchup, this is the one where I have to eat the humble pie. Miami Marlins lost their opening game to the Tampa Bay Rays 1-0. 1-0. And I said this game was going to be a sweep. So I have to eat my humble pie on this one. Even though it was pretty low scoring, the Marlins only gave up 1 run. I will have to give a shout out to the Tampa Bay Rays for pulling out this win. But go with Greg on this one next. What are your thoughts on this game? what are your thoughts on this game in particular, and what you see happening in the future for both teams?
For what team?
Marlins and Rays. So, what are your thoughts on that game? What do you see going on in the future?
Oh, okay. Well, this game was pretty much all pitching. You had a fantastic pitching duel between Glasnow and Alcantara out there. Okay, the Marlins, I think they put up like 5 hits overall. I think that I think they got 3 hits, and I think that that the Rays got 5 hits. So it was probably a pretty lackluster game out there. So a lot of solid pitching, excellent performance both from Glasnow. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs. Alcantara gave up a couple hits, no earned runs, pitched 5 innings, I believe. Miami used like 5 pitchers overall to get through that game, which is kind of surprises me to get through a 1-0 game. But Tampa Bay, they also used 3 pitchers in relief for Glasnow. But just not a lot of hitting. It was one of the more, I wouldn't say it was a boring game because I love pitching. I love to see excellent defense and pitching out there, but I was definitely thinking that this game, with the Rays and the Marlins, I thought that it was going to be more like about a 6-5 type game. I thought that, both sides have enough talent to at least score at least 3 or 4 runs. So, but I see moving forward, I see that the Rays definitely still have some solid pitching, even though they got rid of Snell and everything. And I think that the Tampa Bay is going in the right direction because they have, pretty much, unless something happens, the rookie of the year, Razarena, in there. He's going to steal some bases. He can hit for power. He's an explosive, exciting young player. The Miami Marlins, I think that they're probably, last year they made the playoffs because it was a shortened season and they played, decent enough baseball for 60 games at least. But I definitely think that the Marlins are probably going to be last in their division this year. But I think that they're, in the next few years are going to be pretty good because they have a pretty decent farm system. But I think that Tampa Bay is going to be right in the mix there with the Yankees and the Blue Jays in their division.
So I do have the scoring update to give. So Keener Falifa scored for the Texas Rangers to make it a 14-10 game, with Dustin Dow to third on a wild pitch by Holland. I will have to say, I said Dustin Dow, David Dow. I've been impressed by what I've seen by David Dow. I know, I get it. It's only 1 game, but I've been impressed on what I've seen by David Dow today. This next game. Oh, actually, we'll give this to Ray. Ray, what do you have to say on this game?
Which one? The Texas?
No.
Tampa.
Miami, Tampa.
Well, like I said, this is a traditional baseball game. We played a 1-0 game, but if you look at it, Tampa Bay didn't win the game until the 8th inning on a Meadows home run. One bad pitch cost you the game. That's basically what this game was all the way down. We came down to Garcia making that one bad pitch to Meadows, who gave that home run, 1-run homer in the 8th inning ball game. I mean, like I said, you had the Marlins playing 5 pitchers, 4 in relief, and then you had 3 in relief for Tampa. That's how Tampa plays. Tampa plays is a great defensive team. They play defensive baseball. That's what they play. And they get these timely hits in a certain imperative game to win games out. That's how they did it last year, and that's how they're going to continue doing it this year. So they play the baseball game the right way. They play all the way up. They don't make mistakes to beat themselves. They earn the mistakes from the pitchers. Meadows had that timely hit in the 8th inning to win the game. So basically, this is a defensive baseball game. This is a good game. I like these type of games, because your manager's got to manage these games. What you're gonna put in the right spot at the right time. So that's how these managers learns, and that's how you get good managers. And in Tampa is going to be this team that's going to win games like 1-0. You know, and it's just how they play. That's just their style of baseball playing.
Yeah, one bad pitch can completely change the course of a game. Now, but going back to the Texas Rangers versus Kansas City Royals, Nate Lau is up to bat. If he scores a home run in this game, then even though Texas will still be losing, Texas will be losing by 1 instead of by 4. Because Joey Gallo's on the field, and so is somebody else. I have to go look at it again. But um, But if this next pitch is a strike, then the game's over, and that's the final score, 14-10, because they're down to that last pitch. Oh, it's not a ball, but so my point is that one bad pitch can change the course of the game. Going into this next game, this is where I have to talk a little bit about the DH rule. This game, the Phillies were up on top 2-0, and going back to my point about the one crazy pitch here, the 7th inning, the guy that hit a home run to bring 2 people in for the Braves, he only hit in 1 inning. He only hit in one inning since 2019. That's not including today. So that's impressive by him, the guy that scored a home run.
You talking about Sandoval?
Yeah, Sandoval.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the game, that last part of that game was where's the universal DH thing comes up. I don't like it. I don't like it because it just gives more leeway towards the home team. It gives the home team bigger advantage. Now, if you wanted to end the game sooner, you just want the game to be done and over with, then how about having in 1 out during each inning? So it would be 2 outs, then change sides. I mean, we look at overtime in the NFL. NFL in the overtime has 2 timeouts compared to the regular game. They have 3. So why don't they just do the same thing in baseball?
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm a baseball enthusiast. I like baseball, like the old style baseball. Why don't we just keep, the game way it's supposed to be? I mean, you putting a runner already on second base, and these experimental rules I don't like. I mean, it takes away from the game. It just takes it completely away from the game. I like baseball. If you go all the way, because I remember watching the Braves game all the way up in the 80s, all the way up to going into the 22nd inning. I mean, that's just the way a game of baseball is played. You play, you win. You play to win. I mean, I understand they're trying to speed up the game. I understand they're trying to do all these experimental rules. So if you're going to put one player on second base, you might as well just say, hey, you got 2 outs too, and make it fair.
Mm-hmm. Greg?
Yeah, I don't like these new experimental rules, and I'm really hoping that I don't want to see the National League go to the universal DH. I really am a baseball purist. I love baseball the way it's meant to be played. I like having the pitcher. I think that if you're out there pitching, you should have to pick up a bat as well. That's the way that I like it. The National League, sticks to the way that baseball is meant to be played. I know that if you get rid of the pitcher and put in DH, I mean, that will give some more decent hitters, maybe some backup players a chance for more starting role. position in the lineup and everything, and that might help out with the offense part of the game and might bring a little bit more excitement. But I don't know. I really like watching a true National League versus National League team game where the pitchers have to hit and the manager.
Okay, he's phased out for a little bit, so so I guess we'll go on to this next matchup here. Pirates won today. They beat the Chicago Cubs 5-3, and so going back to what I said earlier about it just being one game, don't worry about that. For this team, it applies too. It still doesn't change my thought about the Pittsburgh Pirates. I still think that they're not going to even get 40 wins this year. Probably around 35, somewhere around there. For 35, close to somewhere in the 35, 39 range, somewhere around there. But, this team, even though they won one game, it's just one game. Do you have anything to add about this?
Well, I look at it this way. It's fun to see like a team that's only going to predict to win less than 40 games in this season come out with a victory in the very first game of the season. I mean, that's just probably made their day, trying to prove people wrong. But then again, you understand this is opening day. There's the Chicago Cubs, the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, your pitchers are not going to have what they going to have it, down the line. So I mean, this could be, a game of momentum to give them momentum in the first part of the month. But when Pittsburgh starts losing, then that's going to start creeping in, and then you're going to have the fool's goal. I think that most of the underdog teams that win on opening day is pretty much showing their fans it's going to be fool's goal season. I mean, that's all that is. I mean, they could ride the momentum, the first few weeks of the game, but when they start losing, that's going to start creeping in because they got that losing mentality. And that's when you're going to see the downfall of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ray, not Greg. Greg, do you have anything else to add to that? Talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates here.
Okay, I don't know what you guys were all talking about before I got kicked off again, but I'll tell you what, I think that this Hayes kid is going to be Rookie of the Year. Him and his dad both hit opening day home runs. They're one of like 8 father-son duos to actually hit opening day home runs. So that was pretty interesting stat line today. I think that the Pirates, I know that everybody is picking them dead last, and that may be true. But I think that they got some pretty decent talent coming up. I think that this Hayes kid, I mean, he can hit for power. He's an excellent third baseman. He's going to give Nolan Arenado, a good chase for the Golden Glove here within a year or two. I mean, he's an excellent fielder. He's more slim than his dad. I think he's a better fielder overall than his dad. So, the Pirates gave up a little bit of pitching this year, unloading Tolson to the Yankees. But I think that the Pirates, beautiful park. I think they're just going to be a team to look out for probably within the next 2 or 3 years. I don't expect too much from them this year. But, that was pretty awesome to see Kayvon Hayes rip one out of the park today.
Let's go going on to this next matchup. The Minnesota Twins versus the Baltimore Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers.
What?
The Milwaukee Brewers.
Milwaukee. Why did I say Baltimore? I don't know. Silly brain fart. So this was another game, kind of relating back to my point about why I prefer consistency. Even though this wasn't as high, Milwaukee did come back out and win this game. They were down. They were down by 3. They were down by 3 at the 9th inning, and they tied it up to make it a 5-5 game, and they won in the 10th inning to make it a 6-5 game. So, so Greg, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first off, I'm very sorry that your Twins just couldn't pull it off today, Brandon Herrera. I know that you were looking forward to. I know that you were looking forward to, what you thought was going to be an easy Minnesota Twins victory, and it looked like that they were on pace to get a pretty easy win today. But then here comes the Brewers, a team that I think that I've said before too. Don't underestimate the Brewers. Woodruff's got great stuff. Burns has great stuff. 2 of the more underrated pitchers. I wasn't expecting the Brewers to make a late comeback, but apparently they got a little bit more pop in their lineup than I thought. I thought that this was going to be pretty much an all defensive style team this year, but I don't know. It looks like they might be capable of putting up a bunch of runs this year as well.
Yeah, but going back to what I said earlier, going back to the Orioles got stomped in opening day last year, 13-2, and then they ended up winning that series. So it's just one game is what I'm just trying to prove. Even though that one game meant more last year than this year, that especially proves my point. Ray?
Well, I look at this game here. I mean, the Brewers going to be the team that, they might get down early, but they're not going to give up. And this is one of the games that you could tell that they're going to be a fight. There's going to be a hard out to get this year. I mean, the Brewers Eldridge is coming back. He's been, he went, 2 hits out of 4 bats, 2 runs, 1 RBI. He batted batting average of 500 today, 0.500. So, he's going to be the leader of this team. The hitting is going to come off of him, energizing the team. So if he can keep energizing the team, but this team is not going to go away. This is going to be a hard out team to play all year long. I mean, they're not going to get dominated like everybody think they would. But I think this game right here could give Milwaukee some momentum, some good feelings, and as the season goes. So, like I said, first game of the season, they played great. They got the victory. They got that one victory underneath their belt. Now let's see where they come out the next game. How they going to play the next game against Minnesota? If they can keep it, at least take 2 out of 3 in Minnesota, there's a good start from Milwaukee. It gives them confidence. So that's going to be the next. If Milwaukee, if Minnesota comes back and takes the last 2 games of the series and takes the series, I mean, I could give them a little bit of false, hope at that first victory. So it's all going to be momentum swings and stuff like that during the season. But if they can take 2 out of 3 here, Milwaukee can take 2 out of 3 against Minnesota, the first game and thing, that's going to give them confidence going forward.
Mm-hmm. So, Greg, you gave your point already, right? Oh, yeah, you did. Just in the minutes you said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried for my Cards actually in the Central because, the Brewers, they definitely are showing signs of life. They got decent starting pitching, at least a 1-2 punch. They got Hader in there. That's a rock solid stud closer. So, and the Cubs, I don't think the Cubs are going to be as bad as people are predicting. I don't think that their fire sale that they did this offseason is really going to affect their team as much as a lot of experts are saying. So this is going to be a very highly competitive division. I don't think that my Cardinals are going to run away with it at all. I think it's going to be a pretty tight finish.
We have 2 more games left. I know I put it in the description here, but it looks like we're probably not going to have a do the top 5 thing here, but we'll just go through it. If we end up having time, we'll end up having time. The next matchup, the Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Indians. I think, with Cleveland Indians, even though it's just one game, losing DeGrom, I think that's who it was that they lost to go over to the Mets. Yeah, losing DeGrom, that hurt him. That definitely hurt him this game. I know it was yeah, I know they only scored 3 runs in this game, but losing DeGrom for the Indians, uh, I think that I see more runs being scored by the Indians than that they would you do normally. We'll go with Greg on Greg, since you're the only one on. You have the you're not freezing at this moment. Well, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think of this game. It was awfully low scoring. I mean, it was really fun to see Miggy Cabrera getting his 488th home run. He's only 12 away from the 500 club, so that was exciting. Yeah, the Tigers. I think they're going to be one of those interesting teams because any minute they could bring up a Spencer Torkelson, they could bring up a Casey Mize. They got some really big time up and coming rookies, some young talent within their farm system that will probably make several cameos this season, in this 162 game season. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to some good things down the road with the Tigers. I think that they're on the right track. The Indians, they still have some decent pitching. Bieber's a rock solid pitcher. So I can't remember. I think I had the Indians taking 2 out of these 3 games.
Yeah, so did I.
But yeah, so I don't know. A great start by the Tigers. AJ Hinch is back in command of a team, and he looks like he's got them playing some pretty decent ball, at least for game 1. Pretty solid pitching performance. The Indians didn't pitch too badly either. But I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I'm flipping it this time. I think maybe the Tigers are going to win, 2 out of 3.
I'm still going with my statement. I think the Indians are going to win 2 out of 3. Now going to Ray on the, what are your thoughts on this game, and what do you think? Not stat wise, but what do you see going on in the future for the
We're talking about the Detroit game.
Detroit and Cleveland Indians? What are your thoughts on this game? What do you see going on in the future for Indians?
Uh, you know, my notes. I just had a power failure here in Jacksonville, so I lost all my notes. But looking at the Cleveland Indians and stuff like the way they're playing and the way they're going to unfold in this season, I think they're still got a good strong field shot. I think Detroit's going to still be under 500. That's why I predict to be this season. So, I mean, the Cleveland Indians are going to be the Cleveland Indians. I mean, their offense has got to pick up a little bit more in the way of the game and stuff is employed. So that's my take right now. I mean, I lost all my notes, so we just had a big power outage. I'm just trying to get my notes back up and running.
We have one more matchup. Then we'll go to the top 5 because we still have 6 more minutes. So this last matchup is the one that happened earlier today. Blue Jays versus Yankees. Blue Jays ended up winning this game 3-2, and that it also went into extra innings. What are your thoughts on this game? What are your thoughts on this game for? We'll go to Greg on this one next.
You got yourself a text, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nate. I missed the part of that. What game are we going to? Bud?
Yankees versus Blue Jays.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, Garrett Cole started out pretty strong in this game. He was having some pretty good pitches. His curveball was looking fantastic today. I don't know. This is the type of game that you really want to see opening day, a game going to extra innings, especially when we've been talking about the Yankees and the Blue Jays being pretty much at the top of that division. The Blue Jays are a very young, up and coming team. They've added some big stars with Simeon and Springer in their lineup. So, I wouldn't have it any other way. It feels more like a playoff game right now instead of a game one, uh, first game of the
Mhm.
season. So, yeah, we've been seeing some really good ball. Gotta love the old powder blue Blue Jays uniforms out there. Kind of reminds me of the old school San Diego Chargers, now the Los Angeles Chargers out there, and of course Ray Cruz's Atlanta Braves, kind of with that really soft soft blue. Remember that, Ray?
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, decent pitching performances. I think that this is going to be one of those highly contested matchups, and it might be the new, instead of the Yankees versus Red Sox rivalry, it might be, the Blue Jays' turn to get in on the mix. So I'm looking forward to some Blue Jay Yankee rivalries from now on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will have to say this though. I was watching a preseason game, a spring training game for the Braves and the Red Sox. This I was being told, even though this year I don't think they're not going to do much. Watch out for them in the next couple of years because do have they led the league in a lot of things over in spring training this last year. In this last spring training, so watch out for this Red Sox team in the next couple of years. They do have a really solid farm system.
They do, and they're not real. I mean, we've talked about it before. They still have five excellent hitting, hitters in their lineup. So, I know their bottom of their order is not that great, but I mean, they still have some talent. I mean, I think they're definitely not going to probably be at the top of the division this year, but yeah,
Oh, they
I think they'll
definitely
be
will
right. Yeah. So, but
in a few
yeah,
years. In a few years.
they're gonna be pretty good. And I think that Eovaldi is one of the more underrated pitchers out there too.
We do have a couple more minutes left, so any last final thoughts in this right here? We'll go with Ray. We'll go with Ray.
Well, my final thoughts. You got to look at I like that Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays game today. I mean, that's how baseball is going to be between these two teams. And I wouldn't be surprised. You might see a lot of extra inning games between these two teams. I just had these two teams matched up perfectly with each other, pitching wise, relief pitching, hitting, the hitting lineups and stuff. So I mean, this matchup with the Toronto, in my opinion, is as high as baseball is going to be in the American League East between these two teams. Now, if you put Tampa Bay in there, Tampa Bay is going to have, pitch in their defense. You know, can their pitching match up to hold these two teams' power hitting so they can compete? They're going to be the third team looking in. I think the American League East is going to be between the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays if the Yankees can stay healthy all season long.
Um, so, Greg, we'll go with you. What are your final thoughts before we get this close?
Yeah, I'll tell you, opening day, like Ray and Statmaster Nate have been saying, it's a very fun time. Ray mentioned it earlier. You're going to see a lot of jitters. You're going to see a lot of things that you might not see as the season progresses. Mistakes or jitters, a lot of runs coming up. And the fun thing about baseball is it's so unpredictable. Usually with like football or basketball, you can kind of be a little bit more accurate. But baseball, it's pretty much a coin toss every game. And like today, we're seeing a lot of runs put up by teams that aren't really expected to be big time run producing teams, and then we're seeing teams that should be producing a lot of runs get goose egged or putting up very low runs. So that's the beauty of baseball is pitching, defense, all that stuff kind of factors into a team's success and failures. So it was a great game. it was a great game day today, and it was fun to see all the scores. You know, I was very pleased with 11 runs today from my Cardinals. I don't expect them to keep up for very much longer, but yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like you watch baseball and you're thinking you're gonna watch a 6-5 game, and then you might end up watching a 1-0 cutout.
14-10 game. 14-10 game, true.
And then you might watch a game thinking it's going to be like a 2-1 game or something, and it might end up being like 14-9 or something. So
Yeah,
it's just a very
14-10.
fun
That's the
sport.
final of that game.
Yeah. So yeah.
So this has been Nate, Greg, and Ray signing out for now.